Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. We are your hosts, Josefa Kapadia and Jasper Rivers.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
Welcome, episode 252 of Get Paid for Your Pad. I am currently in Sweden and I'm talking to Francisco Arango, and he's a bit of an expert when it comes to managing and training your cleaners. So we're going to be talking all about that, but also he has a very cool story how he grew his Airbnb business from just one room in Hawaii to managing up to 10 units. So really interested to hear your story, Francisco. Welcome to the show.
Right on. Thank you, Jasper. Where shall we begin?
Where shall we begin? Well, let's begin in Hawaii. I know you're in Tennessee right now, but you started your Airbnb business in the beautiful Hawaii. I've been a couple times. I can't wait to go back there. So I'd love to start with, kind of how did you build your Airbnb business from renting out a room to having up to 10 units, and also, how did you come across Airbnb? How did you find out about it? And why did you start with Airbnb in the first place?
Okay, sounds good. So I start off hearing about Airbnb through word of mouth. I was at a party or something, and somebody was talking about somebody owed taxes on a couch that they were renting out, and I was like, what's going on here? So anyway, they tell me this lady's renting out a couch on Airbnb and she made all this money. And I was thinking, okay, I'm getting tired of dealing with roommates. Some of them are just incredibly messy or flaky or, leaving in a rush or, a few bounce checks that I still have from, 5 or 6 years ago. So anyways, I got on Airbnb and figured out what it was all about. And whenever the current roommate I had jetted off, I put my place up on Airbnb. And I think I'm remembering back, like the first month, I only made like $200. The place just didn't book. But after that, it just steadily started growing, and I was getting about $100 a night. And the place was packed just about, maybe 90 to 95% of the nights. The idea of it being clean back then wasn't the same as the idea of it being clean now. But guests were just happy to have a place that was, safe, and, they were able to meet with somebody that was actual local and, or, involved in doing local things. So, they were happy. Now, after about a few months, me and my wife had kids, and we turned that room into a kid's room. And I had really enjoyed dealing with the guests and meeting with them and just being a part of their, their experience. So we decided to buy another place. And we bought a place like maybe a mile down the road. And I was telling my wife, look, if I'm going to go down there, to go clean the place or go do repairs or just be in that building enough, maybe I can get another one. Now we couldn't afford to buy one. So I just got on Craigslist and I started, seeing if anybody want to rent me out their condo that they had in that building. And like one of the first people I messaged wrote me back. It was like, yeah, I don't own the place, but I'll ask the landlord if she would allow that. And he said he was currently leasing the place, subletting it out as an Airbnb, but the current landlord didn't know that. So he was like, I don't know what she's going to say if, you actually tell her what you're doing. So anyhow, I get a hold of that lady, and I meet with the lady, and I see the room, and we're all in this room, and she's like, "Oh, so you're gonna rent this out on Airbnb, or you're gonna rent this out on some site?" Because back then she didn't know what Airbnb was. I think she was like, "Oh, you're gonna rent this out as a short-term rental." I was like, "Yeah, but I got to fix this place up. It needs about, I don't know, $3,000 or $4,000 worth of repairs." And she's like, "Yeah, I agree." I go, "How are we going to work that out?" And I go, "Well, I'll pay for the labor if you just pay for the supplies." And so she was like, "Okay, that sounds like a great deal. You're going to pay for this thing to get fixed up, and I'm just going to pay for the supplies that go in it." And he's like, "Yeah." Ended up it being about $3,000 or $3,500 worth of materials to go into the place, and then I spent another $3,000 on labor. Me and my friend fixed it all up, and I've had that place since 2012, I believe. I've been leasing it out every year. She had another place in the same building come up for lease, and she wanted to make the same deal with me. So we did the same thing with her other unit, which is right next door to it. So then I had three. And then we ended up moving out of my condo, and so that would be the third one. So we had the condo that I owned, another condo that I owned, and then one that I rented, and two that I rented from her. And then me and my wife went and rented a place because then we had more kids and we just needed a bigger place. So that got me up to like 5 places in a matter of a couple of years. And I really wasn't trying to grow how many units I was managing. I just sort of looked at it as a way for me to make some money while I figured out, maybe what new ventures I wanted to do. And then I guess I just started buying more. I bought a few in Tennessee, and kept on, just now got like 8 altogether. I've had as many as 10 because I've leased a couple, and then some of them I go back and the leases run out, and they don't renew for whatever reason, or I'll move out of a place that was maybe a duplex and let the other side go. But yeah, right now we're up to currently 8, and I know you didn't mention this in the intro, but we're buying a abandoned apartment building and turn it into a roadside motel, and going to run it like an Airbnb. So that's where I'm at now.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about your future plans with the roadside motel. But I just want to ask a few more questions based on what you've shared so far. Especially the 2 apartments that you were leasing from the lady. Like, what did the numbers look like in terms of like how much were you paying for the lease, and then how much were you able to make on Airbnb?
Okay, so the guy that I originally got it from, he was renting the place out for $90 a night, and he was paying $1,200 a month for it. But I looked at his bookings, and they weren't very much. So I could see that he probably wasn't making much money. But, I mean, the place smelled when I went in there. It was not very nice. The old bedding, just like really didn't put any effort into like making people feel like that he appreciated their business. So once we did the upgrades, which cost about $6,500 in total, I think $3,000 was materials and $3,500 was labor. The lady kept the rent the same. And then I end up bringing in about $160 a night. I mean, about $150 a night, and generally brought in about $4,500 a month. And let's see here. Last time I looked, AirDNA had me at like $48,000 for a year, and that was like within 5% of the actual numbers. I've sort of stopped constantly monitoring year after year. I sort of just do it month after month now to see how much money I made. But yeah, I was paying $1,200 a month, bringing in about $4,000 on average every month.
Wow, that's incredible. So you 3x'd the price of the lease. That's really fun. Really good.
Yeah, now I did have a downturn. So about 2 years ago, I think kind of everybody knows this in their market. If they're an early entry in their market, there'll be a point in time where like a bunch of people start coming in and the prices go down. So about 2 years ago, prices went down for me quite a bit. I think I ended up bringing in about 38,000 for the year. But since then, prices have gone back up for me, and I'm definitely at $4,000 a month on average again. But now my rent has gone up. She charges me $1,400 a month now.
Right. But that's still pretty good. I mean, 1,400 times 12 says that's let's see, 16,800. So let's say 17,000. And then even in the downturn, you make 36. That you say that's still double.
Yeah. No, it's been
still really good.
A sweet deal. Now, keep in mind that top line number does include my cleaning fees, and I have to pay taxes out of that. So they don't collect and remit taxes in Hawaii, at least not yet.
Sure.
And I'm one of the few suckers out there that pay all the taxes.
Well, someone has to, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, that's awesome how you were able to make so much on those leases, and also really great to see how you were able to do it, with permission from the landlord. I think that's really important. So great job on that. So what about the places in Tennessee? How did they go?
So how did I go about getting those, or how well are they doing?
Yeah, like both. Like how did you acquire them, and also what were the results kind of similar in Hawaii, or was it different?
Okay, so the ones in Tennessee we bought, and the way I did it was a little bit like how you go and research, your places, except that, I don't have to worry about different laws and if I'm going to get scammed. And I only focused in on the United States, and places where I could get a loan for. And I looked over about 30 different markets, and I have spreadsheets, probably 100 different pro forma that I did on different properties in those markets to try to figure out, what would be my return on investment. And I ended up coming to the conclusion that Gatlinburg was going to be the best return on my investment. And one of the things that sold me on that was when I buy a place in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, it comes already furnished. Nobody's moving their furniture out of the mountains. And that really kind of what sold me. I could get into something cheap. Nightly rates were good, and it already came furnished. And so all I had to do was really just like update the linens and stuff. So I ended up finding a place in Gatlinburg for $165,000. And a lot of places there in Gatlinburg are managed by property management companies. And, the property management company takes like 30% out of it. If they do advertise on Airbnb, they don't really book on Airbnb. They try to get people to come off site and book on their site. They try to do a lot of direct bookings. And so I thought, man, like this is going to be like shooting fish in a barrel because, I'm going to give people what they want. They don't want to go and book on your site. They don't want to talk to you on the phone. They don't want to meet you in person. Oftentimes they just want to book the place and show up. And so I thought there was a lot of opportunity for me just to do a lot better than the previous management company had done. And I think I can do that with any property there. It's just property managers control the market there. I think the place that we bought was the property manager the year before said that they brought in $33,000. And I was like, I think I can bring in $38,000 just from doing some comps from some other Airbnbs in that area. And then, I did my full year review, and we brought in $43,000. So, that's how I found it. I bought it sight unseen. Now, once we bought it, I did have my wife go down there, and she updated the place, like took out all the old knickknacks they had and put new bedding and new linen, new towels in there, good cooking utensils. I think we spent a total of $6,700 updating the place. Yeah, and it's been, I don't want to say cash cow, but if we bought it for $165, we put 20% down, and we're bringing in a hair under $4,000 a month. I'm pretty happy with that. But now the kicker there is my cleaning fees are a lot cheaper, and taxes are collected and remitted for me. So 9.9% of the taxes that I would normally pay out of my pocket, are being paid by Airbnb. So that makes it a lot sweeter.
Wow, man. Really, really awesome results. And I remember, I'm sure you're using AirDNA as well, are you?
Okay, so when I was doing I do on occasion use AirDNA, but when I was doing my research, I use a combination of Everbooked. And what I would like to do is I would go find a property that was doing well in an area. And then I would go look at it. One that I could tell they weren't trying to do funny business with their property. They're just booking through Airbnb, AutoBook, and all that, and just kind of seeing how much money those properties were making. And then I would try to buy something that resembled that property, and then see if I could do better than that. So if what they were doing was good enough as an investment, like, okay, well, how can I do better than that? And I was like, all right, I can buy that place. That's sort of how I used it. And then I would just kind of verify some of the data with AirDNA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. And it sounds like you really focused on doing a lot of due diligence to make sure that you found that place that is just going to bring in so much return. So I think you did a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of extra due diligence that I found wasn't valuable back then. And now that I'm a little bit better at doing this, I kind of narrowed it down to a couple. I can make a decision pretty quick. And one of the key findings that I believe in that works for me is go and find a top property in that market, see how much they're making, and go, okay, they're doing everything right, and then see how much a home is right next door to that or very competitive to that, and see if it makes sense to make a purchase there. Sometimes I'll go and validate my numbers with like I said, AirDNA, sometimes MashVisor. And one of the things I'll use is I'll actually use Airbnb. So, Airbnb as a place where you can test how much your place will be. So like if I sent you a referral link, you'll get if I were to send you a referral link, you'll get a URL, say, see how much you can make by renting out your place. And so you put in your address in there and it'll kind of give you an estimate of what you think you can make renting out your place. That's a good little hack if you want to kind of verify it through Airbnb's numbers.
Did you find that those numbers are pretty accurate?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you kind of gotta, I think they're probably the most accurate ones, but they don't take in consideration, oh, you have a view. They just kind of take in consideration you're in that area. So I have to realize, like, okay, I got a view. I sort of have an idea of what they're comparing, how Airbnb is getting their numbers, and then I will add from there or subtract from there if I think I'm more competitive in that market. And I'm almost always more competitive. I do a lot of instant book. I have easy cancellation policy. I don't put a bunch of literature in my profile. Or wording. I try to keep it pretty simple to give people what they want. I'd always do professional photos. So yeah, I found out they're pretty accurate, but I think you got to combine this. There's some sort of art to the science, or common sense, I should say.
And those numbers also averages, right? So, my guess is that you could probably make more than what Airbnb estimates, because they go by averages, and a lot of hosts are leaving money on the table.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I find that sometimes hosts get too lost in the details and just don't let people book the place and enjoy themselves.
Awesome. Now let's talk about the cleaning aspect. You told me you used to clean your Airbnbs yourself, and you realized that an Airbnb turnover is a lot different than cleaning somebody's house. And now you came up with a solution for people to manage and train their cleaners called the Clean Solution. So what are some tips for people that are struggling to find a good cleaner, to manage and train them?
I mean, first of all, you got to think of them as your business partner, and they're almost like your property manager. So you're really getting a sweet deal. If you get a good cleaner and you pay them well, that's like a really good deal. That's way better than having a property manager, because that cleaner is in there all the time and they can do little fixes here and there. And so I think it was just that mindset that allowed me just to have maybe better results than other hosts get. You'll never hear me complaining about my cleaners. And I have virtually zero turnover on cleaners. But I do make sure we set some things up first. They need to know, like, hey, this you don't just clean and leave this place. Like, we need to set this up for the next guest. And the better job that you do at doing that, then the more business you're going to get. You're going to be going into that place a lot more often. I kind of let them, know that, they have a vested interest in doing this. Now, they don't need to always do a deep clean. I don't try to get them to make this place perfect every time. That's ridiculous. To me, that's a waste of their time. And it's just like unnecessary. You just need to have it clean well enough, and they can do deep cleans as they see needed. But each turnover doesn't need to be a deep clean, and I think they appreciate that. I recognize that, and that I trust them to use their judgment on what needs to be done, and then I make sure that they always supply the toiletries, the soaps, the coffees. And I just won't hire somebody that isn't willing to do that. Now, I'll pay them more. I'll just say, hey, charge me for it, but you supply all that stuff, and just tell me what I owe you after each cleaning. And if we find out that people are using too much of any particular supply, then, charge me for it. But I have a pretty good understanding of how much people use, because I've cleaned my units for so long. And I know every now and then you might get a person that uses too much, but for the most part, they just use a normal amount. People aren't that wasteful. I guess so. I don't know if I actually numbered off any tips there, but treat them as your partner, and let them know they have a vested interest in this place doing well. Let them know you want them to make money. Have them do all the supplies for you, and just make sure it's the kind of quality supplies that you want. If they're going to do the cheapest toilet paper out there, then I just tell them I won't hire you, because an extra 50 cents means a lot to me and my guest for roll of toilet paper. So and I usually never have that problem. I think only at one time that some cleaners use the cheapest toilet paper until they just realize it's not good for business. We won't get good reviews. And I make sure that they pay attention to the linens. Like, that's something that you have to pay attention to. Maybe if you're cleaning someone's house, you don't have to, because a person doesn't care about their linens that much, and if they do care, they'll buy their own. But as a short-term rental, we're the ones that manage the linens and the quality that we have. And if they're starting to get thin, you got to let me know, and I'll just replace them immediately. Like, they need to be my ears, my eyes on the quality of the product that we're creating. And, if they are, then we'll get more people in there, and they'll get more business. And it just makes a lot more sense for that cleaner to go into the same place over and over and over than it does for that cleaner to have 10 different hosts that they're working with and going into those places seldomly. One of the big reasons that is because if a cleaner, for a cleaner to be efficient, they can't do the laundry on site. So you have to give them a second set of laundry. And so if they're having to manage laundry for 10 different units, that's just inefficient. They would ideally want to manage laundry for as few units as possible and stay as busy as possible, because it's less stuff to keep track of. So I guess that would be another tip that I would say is, like, give them an extra set of laundry so they don't have to do it and waste their time at your accommodation. Let them get in and out of there and go make money in that time slot that they can, which is between 11 and 3 generally, where they can go and do more short-term rental cleans, and then they can do the laundry, at night or some other time, and just pay them to do the laundry. I would say, those are kind of like the fundamentals, or the primary conversations that I have with my cleaners. And if they can do all that, then we end up not ever having a problem.
Yeah, I think you make a really, really good point. Well, you're making several good points, but the one that I can relate to most is to not treat your cleaning person like a cleaner, but as a manager, right? That's how I used to manage my place in Amsterdam. My cleaning lady, she would do everything, and I was paying her about double the amount than what she was making at a hotel. And as a result, like, she really felt like it was her business just as much as it was my business, right? And she really, as a result, she really enjoyed doing it as well. And she would do so much more than just cleaning. Like she had an eye for detail, so she would just make sure that the house was always like presentable, that the house always looked good. She put in like, maybe it needed a plant or something, or a few more pieces of like little art on the wall or something like that. She would just always, she would treat it like it was her own place, basically. And I think that's because I paid her well, but I also let her know, like, hey, we're doing this together, and always trying to be supportive. Even if there's a little mistake or something goes wrong. I mean, no one's perfect, of course. Like, not get mad, but just like have a supportive attitude. I think that's so important. That's a great point.
Yeah, I don't think it's any coincidence that you had such great results with her. Because if you're treating somebody like that with respect and bestowing upon them the responsibility, then they respond adequately, especially if you're paying them well, which is, you really do save a lot of money. Like I save money on piddly maintenance issues because I pay my cleaners well. And I was like, hey, if this takes you like 25 minutes to unclog this toilet, don't worry. I just charge me an extra $25 or $50. It's a lot cheaper than me calling a plumber out there and having to get a call from a guest about something that should have been done anyway. So, I'm always freely paying them extra. If they want to do some extra work around there, I'm always paying them. I don't mind paying them a little extra.
Totally. That's exactly what I used to do as well. I used to tell her, hey, if you think something needs fixed, if you think, if you see something in the shop or something, and you think it would fit well in the apartment, just get it, and I'll pay you for the price, and I'll pay you for your time. And that's exactly how I used to do it. That's really interesting. I think we have a very similar mindset when it comes to this.
Yeah. I hope that, I mean, I've had a manager manage a place before, and they're not in it that often. And so I was paying them like 20% or whatever it was I was paying them. And I realized pay my cleaner well, and I just saved money. Plus, a property manager, they're just going to subcontract any issues that are wrong with the property. So there, once again, you lose money again there, because their cleaners aren't going to do it. They're not going to take it upon themselves to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I look at my cleaner as a savings, not an expense.
Sweet. So tell us a little bit more about the tool that you came up with, the clean solution.
Okay, so one of the issues I do have is like scheduling cleaners, and it's not so much me because maybe I have 5 units, not that hard. But once I started working with cleaners that had maybe multiple units, then it became an issue because they were having to receive text and emails from multiple different hosts and organizing them in multiple different calendars. And there's a lot of scheduling and cancellations that happens nowadays, especially since, over, I think 60% of the bookings happen within a 30-day period. It's a lot of last minute updates. So essentially what my product does is this automatically updates the schedule for the cleaner and the host. And so a host will go in there, create a unit, beautiful sunrises, and import all their calendars into the platform. And then my system will just put a note on every day that a unit needs cleaning. So it would say like somebody checked out on the 23rd, a cleaner will see that your unit has a checkout on the 23rd, it needs to be cleaned. And all the different hosts that particular cleaner works for can all share their calendar with that cleaner. And so that cleaner can see all the different cleanings they have on one calendar, and it'll just automatically be updated. So it works a lot like, sharing of a calendar or sharing of Google Drive. You create an account as a host, you share that cleaning calendar with your cleaner, and that cleaner can see all the cleanings that you have.
And is this a solution that you came up for yourself, or can people who are listening, can they use your solution?
Well, okay, I primarily came up in the beginning, it's for myself. I used it with my cleaners, and I was, hoping my cleaners would ask their other hosts that they clean for to share with them their cleaning calendar. But ideally, one day I want this thing to take off where, all the cleaners are using this, all the hosts are using this to share the cleaning schedules. And hopefully there's some other, benefits I can bring to the table besides just, having updated cleaning schedules. Just ideally, once the cleaner gets in there, they could hit the check mark just to let the host know the place is done. And that way, as a host, if somebody wants to get in earlier, why not let them in earlier if the place is already done? Sometimes, a cleaner will want to make a note about a particular job they cleaned, or a host will want to make a note about a particular cleaning coming up. Those are some other features that we could add in there. Right now, we're essentially just automating the cleaning schedule for the host and cleaner, so they don't need to keep on emailing, texting back. And it's a platform where a cleaner can have all their different hosts, share the calendar, and have it on one platform where he or she can view it.
So can people sign up for this? Do you have a website or?
Yeah, you can go to thecleansolution.io and you can sign up for it then. And currently I'll send you a username and password, and you can go in there and use it there. So it's open to the public, but it's definitely a beta product. So if anybody has feedback on it, if anybody wants to try it out, feedback's how we're going to make this thing a lot more valuable. So of course, I'm definitely very welcome to any feedback.
Very cool. So thecleansolution.io, people want to try it out, go ahead, sign up. It's free, and that way you can help Francisco improve his product. So that's pretty cool. All right, man. We've been talking for a while. I'm afraid we will have to leave your plans with the Airbnb motel maybe for next podcast. When are you planning to open that?
Okay, so we closed on it last week. Next, we're going to be meeting with some contractors and some electricians they've already actually gone in and looked at the place. So hopefully we'll get started on building it, refurbishing it within 2 weeks. And it's a project that we can sort of do in stages, and not that I want to take a whole year and a half to get this thing done, but we can get like 4 units up and running, and hopefully we can get that up in 6 weeks, and then we can work on the other 4 units and get that up in another 6 weeks. And so all in total, there's 20 units. And so hopefully, within a couple of months, I'll have something on Airbnb that I can share with you, and you can just follow the progress.
Sweet, man. Well, we're gonna have to get you back on the podcast in a while once you get all that stuff done. That'll be really interesting to hear any updates on that one.
Yeah, if anybody's gonna have any experience doing making a roadside motel and putting it on Airbnb and doing it solely on Airbnb, I check your Facebook page quite a bit. So if anybody's got any advice, go ahead and put it on the Facebook group, and I'll go look at the Get Paid for Your Pad Facebook group and soak in the tips.
Awesome, man. I'll be looking out for what people have to share. Francisco, thank you so much for coming in the show, and thank you also for being a very active contributor in the Get Paid for Your Pad Facebook group. And I'd love to have you back in the future sometime. And if you ever want to come to Cali in Colombia, I know you've mentioned to me in the past that you'd be interested in that. You're welcome to stay at my place there.
Hey, and guess what? I'm not going to be asking for a discount. I'm almost a super guest. I pay full price.
Awesome, man. That's good to know. All right, buddy.
All right.
Thanks a lot. And for listeners, thank you for listening. And of course, next week we'll be back with another episode of Get Paid for Your Pad. You can find the show notes at getpaidforyourpad.com/podcast. I'll make sure to include all the links to Francisco's clean solution and also all the other resources we mentioned and all that good stuff. And also make sure to sign up for my email list at getpaidforyourpad.com as well, so you get all the updates about live sessions and videos and podcasts and all the free content that I put out there. Thanks for listening, and until next time.
Bye.
Get paid for your pet. 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 Get paid for your pet.